Hello, everybody, and welcome to live post-game coverage of Inter Miami versus CF Montreal. Inter Miami win 3-2. We're here on Messi and Co, of course, to discuss all of it. I'm Ashley. That is Gian. We'll give people a couple minutes to join, but wow, there's so much to say. How are you doing, Gian? How are you feeling?
I'm doing good. I'm a little tired. Spent the whole day at the pool today. Here in Miami, it
Nice.
was very hot. It was like 100 degrees, it felt like. So I spent the whole day at the pool, but was excited to then watch this game. And there's definitely a lot to talk about. I see that I'm looking in the chat. Some of you guys have been writing in here since the beginning of the game. That's cool. That's really cool. I see some of your guys' comments over here. That's really neat. But I'm doing great. How about you? How's your day?
My day was good. Yeah, it's really hot here in Miami. So we were, hot and dealing with it, but went out to lunch, hung out. It was great. And then I came and got ready for watching this Inter Miami match, and I was feeling very confident about it, as I'm sure many of you were too. And we did win. Let's say that we did win. And Inter Miami teams of past would not have won this game, but the fact that we did and we have so many available weapons not named Lionel Messi is incredibly important and valuable. And so that's good. But, as we all, I'm sure, feel, this win didn't feel as good as the last four did. A win's a win, but it didn't feel as good as the last one.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this game collectively was probably not one of the best we've seen. I don't think it was a good game collectively for Inter Miami. I don't think they played well. I think that they won because of the talent that they have on this team and some individual performances. Obviously, Matias Rojas being one, him scoring an amazing free kick while Messi isn't even on the field. Something that we saw.
What a kick.
And it's something that comes at no surprise because that's what he was doing at Racing before he went to Corinthians. He was scoring those types of free kicks. So that doesn't come as a surprise. But it was just a beautiful goal. And then Matias Rojas goes and also puts a beautiful performance to get the ball into Krasny. I mean, he gets a pass out of the defense. He makes that first. Once he gets it on the volley and makes a beautiful pass to Messi. Messi gives it back to him. He makes an out of this world pass to leave Krasny alone. Beautiful. And then obviously you've got Suarez that's always going to be there to bail you out. But other than those three moments,
Poacher's finish.
Yeah, there's not too much to really look at this game and say, this is a team that is the number one team in the league, and this is what they've been doing to get themselves to that point. So I think that was interesting from that point. But Montreal played a good game. Hey, they pressured really good, played a good defense. They closed the passing lanes for Inter Miami. They figured out that the weak side for Inter Miami was on the left side with Chelo Weingart and with Christoph. They did a great job of attacking that side with Lassiter, with Duke, with Jules Anthony. Like, they did a really good job. So I think overall, like, kudos to Montreal. Did a great job. But when it comes to it, Inter Miami had the better players.
And so we did it.
Yeah.
I agree. This is a good comment, I think. What's positive is how they maintained the composure to keep the score 3-2 towards the end of the game. I really agree with that. I think that there were a lot of negatives of this game, if we're being completely honest, but it's also 5 wins in a row for Inter Miami. Never been done in our club history. The team is playing and figuring out ways to win. And even though this model of coming from behind is not going to work forever, we're continuing to do what we're supposed to do during the stretch, and that is win every game that Lionel Messi starts. From 4 weeks ago until he leaves for Copa America, win every single game he's in. That is the number one goal. And in the end, we did. But a problem that came up that we hadn't seen in a while, and it's very obvious why it happened, was that there was 2 switches that occurred. Number one, our center back pairing, which have the last 5 games played in fantastically together, of Freire and Aviles, was not available because Aviles had a yellow card accumulation. So he had to be switched in for Christoph, who is obviously exponentially slower. And that's not a slight at Christoph. That's me saying that compared to Toto Aviles, who's 22 years old, I think, or 21 years old, makes a big difference. And then because of that, Tata are also switched to a 4-4-2 lineup instead of the 4-3-3 that has worked incredibly well for this team as of late. Both of those things ended up with really big holes in knowing who's supposed to cover where, and counterattack defense fell through, and they got 2 good goals that we just were not prepared for in any fashion. And it's worrying because yeah, I mean, if it's one thing when it's the players up front that we see changes from, and sometimes you're nervous, but you have Messi, you have Suarez, you have etc. The defense is showing that with one little change or one edit or one tactical switch, it completely falls apart, and that is a big problem.
Yeah, I guess I can address some of your points, just to keep this going. So with the first one, obviously, yeah, you had that the 2 center backs were different this game. Christoph, we saw that he was running into some issues even last season, where his play was kind of it comes with age, and obviously he's not the fastest, and now he gets paired up with Freire in the center. And I think that one of the things that we saw early on, especially in the first half, then in the second half it got a little better, but in that first half, Chelo, Weigand, and Christoph just were not on the same page. They weren't communicating. They weren't understanding what each other's roles were supposed to be, or where they were supposed to be at any given time. Chelo was also playing a little higher up than usual,
really high.
So I think
and
that
staying high.
Yeah, he was playing really high, but I think that him playing higher was made, I guess, looked worse because of the way that the midfield was playing, because the entire team, especially that midfield, was not coming back appropriately to defend. They were just really off on that part. They were not coming back. So what ends up happening, you have Chelo playing high up, but then the midfield is not coming back in time. They're not playing correctly to help on the defensive end, which led to a lot of one-on-ones against our center backs. And we've seen where that's become issues in the last few games, where our center backs are not the fastest, and our center backs, like, you don't want to have a lot of one-on-ones against our center backs. So yes, Christoph is not the fastest, but then you exponentially made that worse, because your midfield is not coming back correctly. And I think that just elevated that issue and made it look so much worse. So I don't want to hate on Christoph. Like, obviously,
no, and I wasn't hating on him.
No, I know, but I'm saying, like, we can all agree that Christoph is not the starter, but if you're gonna put him in that position, you also need to be, I think, playing correctly in the midfield, and the midfield just wasn't doing that, which made it a lot more difficult. I think that also one of the switches that was done, I think that Tata adjusted and this made it better. But in that first half, I didn't really understand Krasny being on the interior with Busquets and Gressle being on the right.
I was just going to bring that up.
And that's right. That made not much sense to me. So I think that caused a lot of issues too. And then later on, as the game evolved, I think that also realized that, and he was able to make that change, and he switched those 2 roles. He had Gressel go and play in the center with Busquets, and then Krasny came out, and that completely changed and helped us a lot, I think. So that made a big difference for us.
100%. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people are bringing that up in our comments right now, and to start with, I will start on the positive. And I agree with this, that this was one of Sergio Busquets' best performance, because he was everywhere with the midfield that was being cut up like cheese.
He had
to be everywhere, and he was. And it brings up a very good point, which is that let's talk about this midfield 3 for a second, okay? Busquets is obviously undroppable. That's not going to change. Game in, game out, as long as there's no rest meaning to take place and it's your best 11, Sergio Busquets is going to start every single time. I do not think the combination of Krasny and Gressel is going to work well with a team that has a lot of slower players on it. Because it like you're asking then your winger to come back a little bit, and you're asking for the 4-4-2 basically, and you're asking Messi and Suarez to be on an island together. And while it's okay because if there's two people you want to be on an island, it's them too. It's still not giving us what we need. And I think in the next game, I don't think we're going to see Gressel and Kramaski both start. I really don't. I don't know for sure. And I mean, look,
Wait, can you elaborate on that? So what you're saying is that if Gressel and both Kramaski are in there, you're saying that what does that mean? That you're saying you don't want Suarez and Messi by themselves up front, is what you're saying?
yeah, no, I don't. I want it to be a 4-3-3. I don't want them to feel like, and they're doing this because Gressel isn't enough of like a holding midfielder that you need to play along Busquets, and Karaski certainly is not. And so when you have on instead Ruiz, for example, instead of one of those two, you get a good balance with Busquets. And even though Ruiz hadn't played well in the last few games, it still creates a balance that you need so that the winger doesn't feel the need to be able to drop back as much, and that you can have a more balanced offense, and you can have, whether it's Robert Taylor or Matias Rojas, being able to play higher up on the pitch, because Matias Rojas, up until his free kick, was really not involved in the game. He couldn't get involved in the game. And like we said earlier, Cello kept going up on the right side, and there was just a huge imbalance. And so Matias had to keep dropping back to help. And because of that, it left Suarez and Messi, and it wasn't necessary. And look, I mean, you think about the third minute, Messi delivers an unreal pass to Gressel with his right foot, leading him for a scoring opportunity, and Gressel fumbles it. Third minute in, and you can just tell that Gressel is just not comfortable right now.
Are you talking about when he got blocked? Are you talking about when he got blocked?
Yeah, because he fumbled the first touch. He should have been able to shoot it. Yeah, you look at the replay. He didn't. He hit off his leg and went to the right, and he had to do 2 dribbles before he could shoot.
Okay, because I know that Messi was frustrated because Messi was asked, or maybe it was Messi or it was Suarez. I can't remember. So they were asking for the ball back. Is basically what it was. I think it was Messi. Like he thought Gressel shouldn't have shot it. He thought,
he would have been able to shoot it if he did. If he got the first touch, because he had plenty of room. And I watched. He fumbled it.
Yeah.
Gomez and Gressel was better for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that to what you're saying, I can see Gressel and Kremaski playing together. I guess if they were to play how they played in the second, like after that adjustment was made, because them playing how they first started, where it was Gressel and Kremaski right next to each other, to me that didn't make any sense, and it looked really bad. Where I can see Gressel and Kremaski in the same lineup, I think, is where you have Matias Rojas playing that Robert Taylor left wing position, and then you have the 3 in the midfield where it's Kremaski on the left, Busquets in the middle, and Gressel on the right. That's where I can see it. But once Gomez and Redondo comes back, then I think things change big time, and I think that'll be where it becomes more interesting, because Gomez and Redondo are both starters with Busquets, and then I think it'll probably be Matias up front, but. Yeah, I don't know. I think that there were a lot of different things that were done differently today.
I think also, wait, I just had a thought that, and another thing that kind of was, I think, the domino effect of like why all those players kept feeling like they were out of position, like why Matias Rojas felt like he had to keep coming back, why Kremaski or Gressel, whoever really was supposed to be in the role, couldn't establish themselves next to Busquets enough to create a tougher midfield. A lot of this is related to the fact that Chelo Wengat just went up way too much. And it's not because he doesn't have the ability to, because, you know, especially when they're moving the ball up the right side and you make a run and you try and stretch it when you're going on, you have positive trajectory, makes a lot of sense. But I noticed 3 times in the first half, and I tweeted it from the account. I said, Chelo makes the run, and if it doesn't get to him, or if they try and space out and it doesn't work, he stayed there. I watched him stay up in the front line like he was a winger, like he was supposed to be the right winger instead of Messi, stayed there for like a minute and a half before coming back to being a defender. And when he kept staying there, it had Gressel fall back a little bit. And then, you know, Gressel is not fast enough to be able to cover the whole area. And so it left Christoph on an island, and it happened twice.
But
one of those was a goal.
Wouldn't you say that the midfield, the issues with the midfield getting back on time kind of like exasperated that issue, made it so much bigger? Because I think that one of the things that we've wanted, or at least I have, and I've mentioned it a lot of times, is one of those first games where I think it might have probably was Jello's first game ever. He was very involved in the attack. After that, for some reason, they weren't playing on that right wing
Yeah,
with
but
Jello anywhere.
I don't mean him going for the attack. I mean him staying there because I think he should go for the attack. And if he just like, because I'm just thinking of 2 or 3 moments where he went on the attack and he stayed and he didn't come back, and that's when the problem started. It wasn't because he shouldn't have started the attack because he was making really good runs, doing one-touch passing, going into the area, like creating space for Messi, all really good. But he kept staying and he kept not coming back when the play moved to the other side of the field
Yeah.
or when it kept going back. And I was like, with Christoph, like if it was too many things happening at once, like because you had Christoph in the game, you shouldn't have done that as much, knowing that you had a slower center back next to you. Like that's just, I think, in-game management.
Well, I also think I wouldn't put it all on. The thing is, I'm not going to say every time that he went up and he didn't come back, he's not at fault. There are probably times where it was, but I think that him changing so much, because that's a big difference from what he's done in the past. And I don't think it's him going in there and deciding, hey, today I'm going to play a lot higher up. I think that that's something that was given to him by Tata. Tata told him to do that. Bro, I can't. I don't even know what I saw there.
It made me laugh.
Yeah, but I think that that was Tata told him to play that high up. But then the issue again to me is I think it's 50% like what you're saying, but I also think it's 50% of if Chelo's going that high up, Gressle was on that side, Kremaski was on that side when he was going up.
Gressel isn't fast enough to be able to track back.
No, I understand, but he needs to know that, and they need to read that play and say, if Chelo's going up, I need to hang back. And I think that whether it was, I'm not going to put that on Gressel or on Kremaski. Maybe it was a miscommunication between them. But the issue is that if Chelo's going up, Kremaski and Gressel should have dropped back, and that wasn't happening.
Well, and one of them I watched, Kremaski did drop back, but he wasn't fast enough. Like Kremaski is still obviously, I mean, he's been playing really good, but he's not at 100% fitness. He just had sports hernia surgery, and he's still coming back.
Yeah.
And every time I saw it and Chelo went up and he stayed up, I specifically looked towards the space he left, and it was either Gressel or Kremaski taking that space and making it like a back three, where it was Frede, Christoph, and then let's say Kremaski.
Yeah,
and I'm looking at that and I'm like, well, I don't want that. I don't want those three as my back because none of them are fast enough on their own. Like Kremaski's not in the shape to be able to do that right now, and Gressel isn't fast enough at this point in his career. So it just like didn't work is what I meant. It's not like I was saying, oh, like Joe was doing everything wrong. It's just all of the things combined made it an issue. And like to that point, Gressel is not that defensive minded. He's a good balanced midfielder. He does well and when he's asked to do a certain role, he fills it well. But in situations like those, like if we had Ruiz playing, I would feel a lot better about having Ruiz, filling that hole and being able to play it. But without it, it just felt like we had like a lot of big gaps.
Well, you saw how much that midfield changed. Like throughout the entire game, that midfield, every 10, 15 minutes, they were changing. They're switching positions. Like, I think that's one of the reasons why Gressel plays a lot and is a staple on this team, because he's very dynamic. You can put him anywhere, and he's gonna do well enough to not cause any issues. We've seen Tata Martino use him as a right back. We've seen him use him as a wing back. We've seen him use him as a right midfielder, a center midfielder, a defensive midfielder. Like that's why that there's not many players that can do that, and I think that's why Gressel remains on this team and why he remains a starter. So I know that there are a lot of people that I think like every 2 comments has Gressel's name in it.
Yeah.
That's why Gressel.
It's true, but to that point, you're not wrong at all. And for the all leading up to now in this part of our of the season, he's had to be all of these different pieces, and he's certainly earned and kept his place. But now we have Kremaski back, pretty healthy. I mean, like I said, not perfect. If he doesn't start next week, it wouldn't surprise, or he doesn't start Wednesday, it wouldn't surprise me.
I don't think he's okay. When we're a month from now, maybe. Well, no, after Copa America, because there's Copa America coming up and all that stuff. Once Copa America is done, I don't think Kremaski is starting. I just want to let everybody know,
Yeah.
This is a personal opinion. I don't think Kremaski's starting. Kremaski's going to get
Well,
minutes.
when Redondo and Gomez are back, there's no chance he's starting.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like after Copa America, like by that time, everything is out of the way. I think there's no way Kremaski's starting. He's going to be a great sub coming into the second half. But yeah.
But maybe maybe it's a situation like. But what I meant is that like Gressle has had such a purpose for this season so far because he's had to just really fill in and play a lot of roles. And my only point is that look, now we have Robert Taylor, we have Matias Rojas, who now we know definitely are going to be able to cover that left side. In the midfield, though, we have Karaski, we have Ruiz, we have Busquets, we have and Gressle, and so like I just think what was asked of him is not going to be like the level of need has gone up. Like the level of technical ability and skill set of this team has gone up. And Gressel, I just don't think is matching the energy of the progress everyone else is making. And it's not to say he hasn't had good moments and he doesn't not have good moments, but in the last three games, including tonight, there were three specific instances where Gressel got a ball and missed his shot and couldn't make it. He couldn't either get the ball on target, score, or make the right final pass 3 times in each first half of the last 3 games. And my only point is that at this point and with this level of ability we're seeing out of this team, everyone just needs to keep stepping it up. And I think Gressel hasn't maybe stepped it up to the rest of where everyone else is in certain situations, or you don't need him and Kremaski at the same time in this particular iteration.
I think he falls into the same spot as Kremaski once Copa America is done. Like I think him and Kremaski will not be starting either when you get Redondo and Gomez back, and now with Matias Rojas like coming in here and just he's shown that there's no way he's not on this on the best 11. So there's no way that.
Well, let's play that right now. Everyone in the comments too, say your best 11 of all of our current active roster. Like we said, there's an absolute possibility that Diego Gomez may not be in this team by the end of the summer because of an opportunity in Europe. That is very much possible. But we're going to say right now he is. So if we are making this and it's our best starting 11, injuries aside, who are currently on the Inter Miami roster, who is your best 11? Best 11.
While you guys are working on that in the chat, we want to see that. There was one thing that we said that we were going to do. We were going to see who the Stradamus of the match day was. And I'm looking through our YouTube on our preview. I'm looking at the comments to see if anybody predicted the right score. So far, I haven't really seen anything. I've seen some 4-1s. I see 5-1, 6-0.
Not a lot of 3-2s. Yeah,
and I don't see really anybody with the 3-2 at all. So no, it looks like nobody guessed this week. That was tough. 3-2 is not a score you usually see in a prediction.
So here we see a couple already, and I'm going to put one on that is mine. This is mine as well, and I'm pretty sure it's yours too, Gian, and I'm pretty sure it's the majority of people's. And it's Drake in goal, and then you have Chelo, Aviles, Freire, Alba, Gomez, Redondo, Busquets, Messi, Suarez, Rojas. I think that is everybody's.
100%.
Like and here's my only caveat. I'd say if Gomez is not on this team, it's Gressel. That would be the only difference, I think.
Yeah, that's true. Yep.
But and some people saying he's not ready for Europe. He may not be ready, but he's really young and they'll be able to get him for a good value because he has the talent for it. There's no doubt. And so I'm not saying it's going to happen by any means. I just think
well, I mean,
it's not the craziest thing to consider.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going based off of just thought either. There's evidence to it. Obviously,
this is one where it doesn't have Gomez. So instead of if Gomez is gone, it has Rojas and then Taylor both playing, which we may see. I think you'd see before you saw Taylor and Rojas play. I think you'd probably see either Gressel or Kremaski and keeping Rojas in the left winger, but you don't know for sure.
No, so Gomez's agent said in an interview, he said that they had already gone multiple offers from the Premier League, and he did mention Brighton because I see somebody here mentioning
I thought Brighton.
Brighton. So he did mention Brighton, and he said also that they had apparently spoken with the front office, Inter Miami's front office, and Inter
Yeah.
Miami said that they wouldn't make it difficult at all on him if he wanted to leave this summer. So,
And look, there's a lot of players already who have been linked with Inter Miami. We talked a couple weeks ago about Angel Di Maria, or last week I think we talked about him. There is an offer for him on the table for Benfica, so we're not 100% sure if he's going to leave. A couple other people who they have talked about: Antoine Griezmann, who plays for Atletico Madrid, and then obviously Luka Modric, who plays for Barcelona or for Real Madrid, and who spent a lot. I'd say him and Messi have gone many a time toe to toe, number 10s against each other, and someone who's great. And so I think to that point, all I'm saying is that, yeah, it would be very sad if Gomez leaves, because I really do enjoy him and I think there's more he can bring to this team. But if he leaves in the summer, it wouldn't be the most surprising thing in the world.
yeah, so for those of you asking if they'd add somebody like Modric or Griezmann or even Angel Di Maria, it really depends on the amount of money, simply because right now the way this team is set up, and they don't have spots for their designated players, so they can't have anybody that's going to make more than the salary cap per player, which I believe is like 600 something thousand right now.
Yeah.
So have to be that. Now, if there's a player that would require more than that, then there'd have to be some gymnastics that happen, especially because we have to remember that they have Campana as a young DP.
Who we may see dealt as well.
Yeah, which, just so you know, what that does is, because you have a young DP, that allows you to open up an extra U22 slot. So right now we've got all of our U22 slots open for like Diego Gomez, for Redondo, etc. So I think that, to what we were talking earlier, if Gomez was to leave during the summer, then at that point, I think that then they can figure out what they would have to do with Campana, because they wouldn't need him anymore in that U22 spot. They can buy him down, they can trade him, and then they can use that spot on somebody like Griezmann or Angel Di Maria or Modric if they're going to be paid more than the salary budget per player.
And what we should do, honestly, is maybe we can like in a little bit, when it gets closer to, I can't for some reason hide this comment. I need you to, there you go. That when it gets closer, more when we know that, I think it's June 1 that like that free agency aspect opens in Europe, or maybe it's July 1, whenever that time is happening, and we know things are going to start moving and potential trades, and like when it gets near the trade deadline, MLS, we'll do an episode about that, and like all the different configurations of the roster, who we need, who we may want. Obviously, I saw a couple comments about Nacho from Real Madrid. A lot of options. We will see how it shakes out. But, to everyone's point here, look, if it's not Gomez on that starting 11, which we all really have for the most part, it would be either Karaski, Gressle, or Robert Taylor if it's not Gomez. And those are all fine replacements for us, for our best 11. So we will we'll see how it goes. But back to this game.
Wait, sorry, I just wanted, the young DP rule, I think, if I'm not mistaken, is they're changing some of these rules, but I think it's for next season, if I'm not mistaken, Mike. I'll double check though. Thanks for bringing that up. But I just read the rules this week for this season. And I had heard something about that rule being changed, but I think it's for next season, but I'll double check.
Yeah. But so, back to this game.
Matias Rojas, can we talk about that?
Let's talk about Matias Rojas.
Kick in the passing. Like,
it's he is like a freaking baller. He is unreal skill set.
Hey, there's no comparing anybody to Messi.
No.
Right? There's nobody, but on this team,
this technique,
there's nobody closer than Matias Rojas. I mean, the skill set that he brings, his skill set is so similar to Messi's. His ability to score these free kicks, his ability to make
that was an unbelievable free kick.
His ability to shoot, and so you throw in a guy that has the skill set again that's very similar to Messi's skill set, and then on top of that, the way that they understand and connect is insane. It seems like
in 2 games
and Messi have been playing together for ages, they just can read each other so well. And I
Yeah.
think that you can look at a player and be like, okay, his skill set maybe demands him to be in the starting lineup, but throw on top of that the fact that he connects with your best player on the team to that extent. He's immovable. And I mean, that goal was just insane goal that he scored, like that free
Yeah.
kick.
That was and the pass to Karaski for that goal, and Karaski got lucky because similarly to Gressle, he just didn't feel like he didn't, you know, have that perfect technique and ability to get a good first touch and you know, create something great, but in the end he followed it through and he got the goal, which is amazing.
He used his
But
body well because
he used his body well, yeah.
obviously the defender that closed out on him, or that rather caught up to him, was really fast, and he was able to put his body between him and the ball.
Yeah.
And that one last ditch effort, I mean, I think that makes a difference too between some players, like him putting his
100%.
body
No,
on the
it
line.
was, yeah.
It was beautiful.
Yeah, but I mean the pass and the vision from Matias Rojas to get that ball. Every goal that Matias Rojas has either scored or assisted on in these last 3 matches have been otherworldly efforts. Starting in New England, when he went and he chased that ball down the sideline and he kept it in play and it led to the goal, was all because of the way he started it. The goals he got, I mean, his first goal that he scored last week, and then the incredible assist, and then the incredible chip, all insane. Today, an unbelievable golazo, unbelievable free kick, and then an unbelievable pass. I mean, you're just seeing, to put in a baseball American analogy, just batting 1,000 right now. Just unbelievable technique and ability that just shows like that is putting him far and above so many other players immediately that you're seeing, and you're like, wow, that is some talent.
Yeah, most definitely. That he's a difference maker. Somebody said it here, and I agree with them. Without Rojas, we
Yeah,
lose
I agree
this game
too.
tonight, to be honest. And yeah, I mean, he scored a goal and assisted a goal. So
Yeah,
definitely, he was the man of the match.
man of the match.
Tonight. Man of the match,
If not
100%.
Busquets, I guess it'd probably go down to the two of them. I'd probably give it to Rojas, but yeah.
Yeah, he's man of the match. I wouldn't be surprised to see him on team of the match day for MLS as well, and that'd be nice. I mean, after what is it, his 3rd game?
Yeah.
He's already probably gonna start seeing some of these match day honors and that sort of thing. So that'll be nice for him. And you know, with him playing like this, I think that it looked like he was gonna be on that Paraguay roster. I'm not sure if they announced it already. I haven't checked for Copa America, but like this almost makes it certain to me, if he's not already, that he's going to be on that roster, which means we're probably going to be without Diego Gomez and Matias Rojas.
Yeah. So again, that's for future us to worry about. Let's talk about the second goal, because we talked about Karamasi's goal and we talked about Rojas's goal, but someone who notched their 11th goal of the season and is just an absolute monster in that penalty box, in that 18-yard box, is Luis Suarez, who had a poacher's finish off of that corner kick. The ball went back and he was at the far post and he was not missing. And there was no way in hell he wasn't getting to that ball first and having it go into the net. It's that killer instinct that he has, and that sets him apart from, you know, many other strikers in the history of soccer, is that he just has that unbelievable knack to figure out a way to get the ball into the back of the net.
Yeah, I mean, he's bailed us out a bunch of times. So like I said, and we've said it before, when you've got Messi on the pitch, when you've got Suarez on the pitch, it doesn't matter if you're down 2-0. It doesn't matter what you're down. Like,
and that's without Messi being involved in either goal.
You feel like you're always in the game, which is interesting because we talked about how much this team depends on Messi, and we also mentioned how every team he's been on depends on him. But to see other players step it up, is really nice. It's really good to see, and it feels good because, again, just knowing that when you've got games, especially when Leagues Cup comes around, and there might be like middle of the week games where you might rest Messi and that sort of thing, you're going to have players that are going to be able to step up in his absence. And when you see Matias Rojas in there, and you've got Suarez, I feel like Matias Rojas and Suarez are going to connect very well too, you know, in Messi's absence. So yeah, I mean, Suarez just continues doing what he's always done, putting balls in the back of the net, and he figures out any way he can. This time, I think it was with the cleats up, just pushing the ball in, and he always figures it out. You know, I mean, if he keeps doing that, it's Campana. It's tough for him to get any minutes when you've got
Yeah.
Suarez falling out
I mean,
like
he'll get time during Copa America for sure. Even if Suarez doesn't go, he still will get time because it's not going to be, and without Messi, like they're going to have to need some type of rotation in the final third. But yeah, he keeps flying high, 11 goals. It's pretty amazing, and it's interesting because, like we said, maybe the biggest silver lining of this game, when there was obviously we saw more holes and issues with the defense, was not looking like the team that was playing in the last 4 games. We won, and we won with 0 of the 3 goals that we scored having Messi involved as the assister or goal scorer.
yeah.
And that's pretty impressive, where we know that we can find a result without it having to come directly from him. And that is, certainly a positive.
Yeah, I think it is. Like I said, anytime other guys on the team step up and it's not always on Messi's shoulders, I think it's a good sign.
Yeah.
And I think that as much as I enjoy everything that Messi does, I do want to see other players get more involved and get more assists from other players. Right now, it seems like it's Messi and Suarez that have taken that load on their shoulders to carry this team, and it's nice now. You got Matias Rojas, and I'm sure as Gomez and Redonda come back, we'll start to see other players kind of take more ownership on themselves to kind of move this team forward. Well, you know what I'm interested to see though? I wonder if anybody, like, do you guys in chat have any questions for us? I know that we've been talking for a bit. I'm wondering if you guys got any questions, any opinions you want to hear from us in regards to this game.
Yeah, I also see a comment about Messi injury that thank God it wasn't something serious. Look, it was a bad tackle, cynical. Obviously, guy, caught him in the top of his leg, or right below the knee. But he like, to everyone's point, he seems fine. He seemed like it just like it hurt for a minute, and he was able to continue and play the whole 90. I think that, yeah, I think that it should be a non-issue, hopefully. But yeah, that's something that was right. That's an interesting question.
Yeah, I've actually heard some talk about that and
Yeah.
about Calendar kind of, we know that he's good, but he over the last few games has shown, and even going back to the Champions Cup, right, against Monterrey, like we've seen him kind of have mistakes that aren't uncharacteristic. Is it complacency? Is it him knowing that he's got this position locked in already, and him just kind of not being at the top of his game, knowing that he doesn't have somebody on his back coming for his spot on the team? And sometimes that happens to some players. Sometimes you need that competition. I know that typically happens in other positions on the field, like defense, midfield, that you have really good players that are battling each other. I'm sure that that's happening right now in our midfield, right? You've got Ruiz that's probably in there trying to get his, show up in practice and do all these things. To this point, Calendar doesn't really have that.
CJ Dos Santos, who's a second in command, hasn't done enough to get it starting.
I mean, there are big names out there right now for goalkeepers that we've heard kind of be linked to Inter Miami.
David De Gea, we've heard many times.
Yeah, Chiqui Romero. Like there's goalies out there. So I would think it's a good idea. I would think it's a really good idea. I think it either makes Calendar better, or it makes Calendar work harder if he loses his spot temporarily. So I think it would definitely be a good one.
Yeah, and then here's another good question. Should we not go back to the 4-3-3? Yeah, I think I'd like to go back to the 4-3-3. A 4-4-2, it's not at least a back five, which is something that we really do not like to see. I think that with next week, Tomas Aviles slots right back in. I think you'll probably see Jordi Alba slot back in, and so it's going to be the same back four with Alba instead of Negri, but then, Freire, Aviles, Chelo. And then I think we actually may see a situation where you're going to see Robert Taylor and Matias Rojas both start, and it's going to be no Krasny. And it's going to be Robert Taylor starting at the left wing, and then you're going to have a midfield of Matias Rojas, Busquets, and Gressle. That's what I think next week's going to look like, and it's going to be back to the 4-3-3. I think that, without Aviles, the issue is, and I hope, if anything, look, again, it's really no shade on Sergi Christoph. It's really not. But I hope that some of it showed today that, like, I would rather see Ryan Sailor before I see Christoph if there's an issue with either of our starting center backs, because he's just really just doesn't have the pace. And it's like to an alarming degree, doesn't have the pace. And like the whole team cannot change the formation and change everything just because of his pace. Like there needs to be, I think Ryan Sailor is younger, faster, maybe not as composed every single moment, but for the type of situations we're playing, the type of games and formations and game plans and tactics, it just does not it just doesn't suit Sergi Christoph at all. At all.
Yeah. Agreed. Let's see what else. It's a final comment for me. Unless we move the ball fast on the defense, the opponent will find the net easily. I think that's that has been one of the things that Inter Miami has struggled with, is building out from deep on their side of the field. And we actually saw this week, Tata Martino actually had the team practicing what they call in Spanish la salida. It's the coming out of the backfield, and I am pretty sure that they realize that because they were working on it during practice. So that's definitely really important, especially where I think that a lot of teams are now pressuring Miami very high up as they try to build out so that
we did some good press too, by the way.
Yeah, we did. We did some really good press. Sometimes too much, though.
Sometimes too much, yeah. But yeah, and I really don't disagree with this comment either. Look, if you said to me, who are the starting two center backs, I'm always going to choose Aviles and Freire based on what we've seen so far in terms of our sample size. But I really think the third choice should be Ryan Sailor, because I've seen Ryan Sailor play a decent amount of games over the last 2 seasons. Yes, he sometimes makes mistakes. In the last game he played with Colorado, he was the reason that he gave away a penalty. But I've seen enough for him to actually see that he does have good composure, good, really like quick instincts, fast, young. He's really young. He was only drafted 2 years ago. I really hope that we see him get more opportunities if it does, so that we don't have to see so many changes in tactics.
Yeah.
If one of those two center backs aren't available. But we'll see. A lot of good comments here. This point is a point we have talked about a billion times. It seems like we don't wake up until we concede a goal. It's actually interesting. I thought the first 5 to 7 minutes of this game, almost the first 10 minutes, we actually were playing really aggressive and really sharp. And like I said, it's a sliding doors moment. If Gressle was able to control that first ball from Messi in the 3rd minute when he did that insane weak foot pass, that changes the whole entire landscape of the game. Like, I thought we were doing really well in the beginning, and then just really quickly, too many players weren't communicating well. The back line wasn't communicating well. Cello was moving up a lot. There wasn't enough reinforcements. And just like that, they countered and scored by none other than former Inter Miami player Bryce Duke, who we spoke about on the pregame show, and who I said, and who we both said was a really good young talent who was a bright future of Inter Miami, but obviously with rosters and things that we had to adjust, knowing who was coming, had to be taken to another team. But a great young talent who played his heart out tonight for sure.
Yeah, it is a problem. It's definitely a problem. And right now, our defense, obviously we haven't necessarily invested as much into our defense as we have into our
imagine if we had Kamal Miller
for offense. No, yeah. And right now this team, I think they're okay with that. I think they see that how powerful this offense is.
Yeah.
That they can score 3-4 goals. They can go down 1 goal within the first 5 minutes and still come back and win. They can go down 2 goals and still come back and win. They see this, and I think for right now they're banking on that. But I don't think that's a healthy thing to do, because if we continue to go down 1-0, 2-0, this was scarier going, because we hadn't gone down 2-0, I think.
And we almost went down 3-0. Drake had 2 amazing saves.
Yeah, no, exactly. And, every team, no matter how good they are, no matter how good their offense is going to have an off night. That just happens in all sports. It doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter if you're Real Madrid. It doesn't matter if you're Arsenal or Man City. You're going to have an off night. Mm-hmm. God forbid we go down. We continue to do this to ourselves, dig ourselves in a hole, and it just so happens to be one of those nights where our offense isn't clicking. So they just need to get better, and I don't think it's something that this team wants to see. Like, okay, who cares that we go down 2-0? We're gonna come back. Like, that's not the attitude that I think they have. I think they realize this is a problem. Now it's figuring it out. It's figuring it out because it can't keep happening.
Well, and also I think last game wasn't necessarily a great indication of that. Like, yes, the other team scored first, but they scored in the 35th minute, and the New York Red Bulls are a fantastic team who are going to be top of the East. They have really good talent. The first 30 minutes they had, our defense kept showing up and stopping chances. They had a lot of the possession, etc. I don't think last game I don't consider it to be like, oh, we had no foot on the gas and just let them take over. I think that they had a really good game plan. They got the first goal, but then we were able to make adjustments and get better. Like, it wasn't a sleeping issue. Today was an issue of where it just like that, the goals went away. And look, Wednesday is going to be a very, very big test for Inter Miami. This was a big test in the sense that, yes, we should have won, and we did. It wasn't pretty, but they were, on a 7-game losing streak or winless streak, and we have been on a 4-game winning streak, and it going on a away game, it's still difficult. Lionel Messi is now 1-0 in all games in Canada, so shout out to him.
Oh.
His second one will be Toronto, I think. I don't know if that's happening during Copa America or not, but if it's not, that'll be second. But yeah, so Wednesday will be Inter Miami away at Orlando City, who are our biggest rivals, our in-state rivals. It'll be the Sunshine Classico. Wednesday night, first midweek game we've had since, obviously, since the Champions Cup, and a scary game tonight. Everyone was scared, but it was we managed to pull out without having to use without Messi having to score, which is great. But Wednesday's going to be really difficult. We should win the following, then DC, like 2 difficult games. I think we should. I really like for us to win both, but 2 very difficult games. Wednesday we'll be talking about tactics again and see what we can do. But against
Orlando City won today. They beat Philadelphia 3-2. Yeah.
So it'll be a really tough game, but it'll be a good test. It'll be a tough game, but I feel good about us. Here's a good question. What about Ian Frey? What about Ian Frey? That's a good question. We love Ian Frey. Ian Frey has had terrible injury luck, but is a young, super talented player. Also a player who I'd say, like, probably not obviously similar to Rojas and, being able to score bangers, but similar in the sense that Ian Frey has an incredible skill set, really composed on the ball, has able to play a lot of different positions. We've only gotten to see him in limited capacities with Inter Miami, but every time he's played, whether it's a midfield role or a defender role, he's fantastic. And I hope he does continue to get healthy and be able to maybe slot in. Like, maybe you'll see either Cello, who maybe probably needs some rest sometime soon, who's had to play 90. Maybe you'll see him come in there. Maybe you'll see him come as a defensive midfield role. I hope he continues to get there, but I think he just got back to training, right? Like a week or 2 ago after after a 10-month ACL injury. So, I don't necessarily expect him back quite yet, but hopefully be a great person to see, be able to slot into that defense, to be able to have a good rotation available.
Yeah, agreed. He was. I loved watching him last season before he got injured. He definitely played very well. I think that, to your point, he can give Chelo some rest. He can even, if Freire or Aviles aren't playing, I think he 100%. Can even slot in there. I think 100%. He's versatile, and we've obviously seen Tata.
If Busquets can play or something, you can see him slot in there too. Like, Ian Frey is really good. It's been a while, but trust me, go look at. I don't know if there's a lot of Ian Frey highlight tapes out there, but if there are, find it and look.
Wait, you're not convinced about Negri? What?
Who?
Skylar isn't convinced about Negri. What are we talking about?
Well,
Negri's good.
Negri did not have a good first half. He had a great second half. He didn't have a good first half. Could have been possibly partially due to the fact that Cello really moved up a lot, and because of that, Negri did not get the chance to. That's very much possible. But Negri didn't have a great first half. He wasn't doing what I had been accustomed to seeing him do the last few weeks.
Well, I mean,
still think he's great.
Who had a good first half?
No,
like, I think that Negri has done a good job in Alba's absence. Obviously Alba's much better, but Negri's been solid. I think, in my opinion, I think he's done very well. I mean, who else would you rather have there? Noah Allen? Like,
yeah.
I mean, not a knock on Noah. I like him as well, but I think that Negri's been very solid, and he's done what he's asked, and he hasn't he hasn't messed up a lot, in my opinion.
Yeah. And I mean, and look, unless there's a setback, Jordi Alba will be starting next week and will be starting unless there's issues or rotation necessary. But Negri did great as a backup and did exactly everything we could have hoped, because the 5 games Negri has just played, he won all 5. So no doubt did a great job. But I'll be excited to see Jordi Alba back. I've missed his fieriness and his being able to, I think, bring leadership to the back line and leadership to just, the energy and stuff when the team needs it.
He should be back next game.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think he should be back there. That's what, at least that's
or
what
Wednesday. Yeah, they said only they need to hold him out for one more game, so I actually think he will play Wednesday.
I hope so.
Yeah, me too. But yeah, look, to kind of finish us off, it was a weird game. I think we all just feel weird about it, right? Like the positives of the game for sure is that we won, which and being an Inter Miami fan for the last 4 years, wins don't always come easy. They really don't. And so every time you get to win, look, this is our first 5-game winning streak. Very important, very good for the club. Continuing to try and separate ourselves and give us as much as a boost as possible before Copa America, when we are going to lose some of our best players. So that's important. We won. Another thing that's important, all 3 goals did not directly involve Messi, meaning it wasn't a goal or an assist by him, which is good because we rely on that heavily. And like we just said, he's not going to be here in a few weeks for a little bit of time, and being able to see other players on the team be able to contribute and score and get the win, incredibly important. So those are the good things. Bad things, defense didn't look good. Midfield didn't look good. Change of formation didn't look good. Seeing what the team is like when you don't maybe have your number ones playing how we've had them play the last 5 weeks causes some worry. And we have to just take the good, take the bad, hopefully learn. We got a W, and we move on to what's going to be a very difficult game.
Look, we've had plenty of beautiful games and amazing games where we're just, this team is firing on all cylinders. They're connecting well, communicating well. They're doing great. And then sometimes you're going to have games like this where the team necessarily isn't at their top, level, but they're still able to pull out a win. And I think that's important. And that's kind of how
this isn't a game we would win 8 weeks ago. Forget last year, the year before, the year before.
That's definitely positive. I'm going to say something before we, as we're wrapping up, before we head out. If you guys can, I see a lot of you guys in the comments are on YouTube. Remember to hit on the bottom left-hand corner, just hit the little thumbs up on the video. That's going to help with the algorithms. So that'll help share the video, and a lot of people are going to be able to see it. The more you thumbs up it, well, you can only thumbs up it once, but the more of you that hit the little thumbs up, again, the more that YouTube is going to put that on that front page for everybody. So if you can, make sure you do that. Thumbs up. That helps us a lot. Gets this video out to as many people as we can.
Yeah, and we will be back. There's obviously, like we said, it's a midweek game, which we haven't had in a couple of weeks. So we will be back to do a preview of the game, and also it's another away game, so we'll be doing a post-match live stream. So lots of content to look forward to. It's gonna be a tough week because Wednesday that game, and then playing DC over the on the weekend, who have Christian Benteke, who was playing in the Premier League last year and is a pretty damn good goal scorer. So
to what you just said, just so everybody remembers, because I saw some questions actually about this. Some of you guys were asking. All right, so when the games are at home, the post game or the recap of the game is going to be on Mondays. So we'll go live. We'll go live on Mondays around 6ish usually.
Mm-hmm.
That's because we're at the game, and then right after the game we have the interview with the coaches interview, and then we have the mixed area with the players. So by the time you get home, we live kind of far from the stadium. It's really late. So anytime it's a home game, live post game show is going to be at around 6ish on Mondays. Now, when it's an away game, it'll be just like today. We'll do the post game as soon as the final whistle blows. So just want to give you guys a heads up.
Yeah, exactly. Great point. Yeah. So we'll do a preview of this game, probably Monday or Tuesday. Not sure yet if it'll be live or recorded. We'll let you guys know when it gets closer, but we'll definitely be doing a preview episode, and then we will be doing the post-game live stream. So let us know your questions. Let us know things you leave in the comments of this video. What do you want us to talk about on the preview? What are questions you have? What are things you'd like to see? And, games are coming thick and fast. This is fun. This is why the beauty of MLS, even though obviously we have issues with the schedule as it relates to international play sometime, the beauty of the MLS is that it happens during the summer, where all other top flight football in Europe is not playing during the summer. And so we get to see our competitive matches all summer long. So we'll have a ton of great content for that. But yeah, so make sure you're following us, clicking like, leaving comments, letting us know your thoughts, following us on Twitter /X, Messi and Co, TikTok, all the things. Let us know what you think, and we will be back with our Orlando preview. So thank you for watching.
Thank y'all. Have a good night.
Good night.